Welcome and thank you for joining today's webinar. We're going to be focusing on building, engaging your social community. I'm Corinne Foster, Marketing Manager here at Greenleaf. I assist authors with book launch strategies, consult on social media usage, and manage social media for various authors and brands. In my free time, I'm also a lifestyle blogger and have been blogging for over 12 years, so I've been really living and breathing blogging and social media since its inception. Before we get started, I wanted to encourage you to tweet along with us today. Ask any questions, weigh in on which social media networks are most effective for you, and offer your tips for staying engaged. You can tweet us at GreenleafBookGR for a chance to win a free consultation with one of our social media and blogging experts. Be sure to use the hashtag #IdeasThrive. So I know when I attend a webinar or workshop, I would like really actionable tips and resources. So I've tried to include those wherever I can. But again, feel free to tweet us if you're looking for something specific. And you can also email me directly at cfoster@greenleafbookgroup.com, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. We like to set the tone for any discussion at Greenleaf with a quote that really encompasses what we're trying to achieve. This one is by Jacob DeHart, who is the co-founder of Threadless. If you have a loyal, strong following, you can do anything. If you're not familiar with Threadless, they're a Chicago-based company where independent artists can submit their design ideas, the community votes on their favorites, and then the most popular designs become apparel like t-shirts and hoodies and tote bags. Winning artist receives cash prizes and royalties from the sales of their designs, so they're really the true definition of an engaged community and how that community can fuel your content. So as we begin to think about building and engaging in social communities, I want you to think of your online presence as a wheel. At the hub of that wheel is your blog. So as the hub, you want your blog to include original content that establishes you as an expert, links to all of your social channels, which are the spokes that we'll talk more about later, the ability to subscribe to feeds and newsletters. A feed's a way just to deliver your content to readers either via a feed reader like Feedly or via email. You want to include a call to action in each post, which welcomes comments and opinions from your readers, asking them for their input, and really just inviting them to join in the conversation. You can do that really easily by ending each post with a question. A good blog or a website in general should also include a strong bio or author page. You want to tell people your credentials and what makes you an expert. You want to also include any contact information if they have any questions that they don't want to post on the blog, or they want to get in touch with you for a speaking engagement or a signing or something along that sorts, consulting. And then buy links. You want people to buy your books or your products or your consulting. That's your ultimate goal. So make sure you make that really, really easy for them. Excuse me. So on the blogging front, there are dozens of platforms to choose from. There's Weebly and Wix and Blogger and Tumblr. And out of the gate, I'm a longtime WordPress user. And that's the platform that we create blogs and websites for our Greenleaf authors on. So that's what I recommend to everyone. They have a really strong community to answer any support questions. It's pretty easy to find a designer or a developer for a WordPress blog, and they're usually fairly reasonable price-wise. There is a great article on LinkedIn that we'll be tweeting from Claire Diaz-Ortiz, and it's called How to Start a Blog, a Complete Guide. And it's really a step-by-step that walks you through starting a WordPress blog, and it's super easy, and you can get a blog up within 10 minutes. So on the blogging front, two of the most daunting questions that I always get from beginning bloggers are, what am I going to blog about, and how am I going to find the time to blog? The answer to both of those questions is consistency. Consistency of your content, organizing everything around a central theme, that being your area of expertise, and presenting that content in little bite-sized chunks. Definitions, how to really 101 level information is what I recommend starting with. That's going to really position you as the expert and is great for your SEO and for when people are searching for your content and being introduced to it. The other aspect of consistency is how often you post. You don't have to blog every day. You don't have to blog every other day. You just have to be consistent. So if you're going to blog once a week, Tuesday at 11 a.m. Make sure it's always Tuesday at 11 a.m. Because when your speakers or when your readers know when to expect your content and what kind of content they're going to be getting, they begin to seek you out. On the WordPress, there's a great premium plugin called CoSchedule that allows you to schedule not only your blog posts but your social media promotion around those blog posts as well. And it's really, really useful if you have multiple contributors to your blog or your website. So if you have someone ghostwriting for you or you have a co-author, it's a really great way for you guys to see what kind of content is being created and get on a schedule with it. Or you can kind of default to the pen and paper method, which has worked for me for 12 years. Also on the blogging front is optimization, and all I mean by that is that making sure that your content is discoverable and shareable. Search engine optimization is the process of making sure your site is visible to the search engines. There are experts out there that can run circles around me on this front, but on the WordPress side, there is a plugin by Yoast that kind of takes care of all your SEO needs and analyzes your content and recommends to you what you need to do to optimize that content if your post needs to be longer, if you need a photo, if you need keywords, and it just has a stoplight rating. So green means you're good to go and you're all optimized for the search engines. Yellow means that you need to take a look at what you've been writing and make some tweaks. Again, we'll tweet that link out as well for the Yoast plugin. Let's see. We have a question here about the bite-sized chunks of content and what word count do you recommend? There is varying opinions on what word count should be. Generally, and Yoast will tell you this too, that plugin, is 300 or more words is what you want, and that's fairly easy to write. 300 words, that's a couple paragraphs. It doesn't have to be longer than that, but that's about the minimum that I would post. Back to optimization, another thing you want to make sure is that your content is all shareable. You want to make it easy for others to promote your content so you don't have to. You're producing great content and really useful information. You should get to the point where you're not out there screaming it from the roof. You have readers that are doing that for you. And this is increasingly important as social media becomes the #1 source of information, and we're getting those little nuggets on Twitter and Facebook and clicking through, really instant gratification on content. Sharing and search also go hand in hand. Google Plus and Twitter are now all indexed. I'm going to take a break. Okay, sorry about that. So sharing and search go hand in hand. Google Plus and Twitter, all of that information is now indexed. So you can incorporate social sharing buttons like the ones that are on the bottom of this slide into all of your content. There are plugins for that no matter what your blogging platform is. So on WordPress, there is Shareaholic, Share This, Simple Share, Sociable. Just Google social sharing plugins and whatever platform that you're using, and you'll find something that works for you. On the comment side, not only should readers have the ability to comment, it should be really easy for them to do so. So you just want to require the basics, name, email, and an optional URL linking to their site. And you want to reply to every comment. This is something that I've been doing for a really long time, and it just encourages users to come back and engage, and lets them know that you're reading and taking their comments and opinions and questions really seriously. Let's see, we have a question here. Should you screen your blogs before posting to ensure accuracy and they're not offensive or illegal in some obscure way? You should definitely, before anything goes live, fact check everything, make sure that it's complete information, it doesn't leave anybody wondering. You can also link, really encourage you to link out to other sites to kind of prove any points that you're making. So I like to use the editorial calendar and write my post, sit on it for a few days, come back and review it, and then you're kind of ready to share it. Back to comments, there is, of course, another WordPress plugin that I recommend. So Comment Love is out there. It allows you to kind of reward users for leaving a comment by linking back to their most recent blog posts so other readers can see what kind of content they're creating. There's also subscribe to comments where people can keep engaged with the conversation, and then reply notifiers so they know if someone left a message on their comment. Okay, so I could talk about blogging all day, so keep tweeting and sending any questions that you have. I'm going to move on to social media, but I can always circle back to those blogging questions later at the end of the presentation or on social media. So the social media is the building and engaging part of your community. Back to the wheel, I always think of social media as the spokes that keep your idea rolling and they create momentum for your message. So on that front, you want to be really selective. You don't have to be everywhere. You just have to be where your audience is. So in a little bit, we're going to go through the demographics of the main social networking sites so you can see kind of where you best fit into that. And remember that your time is valuable. I'd rather see an author or an expert spend a considerable amount of time utilizing one social network really, really well than spend that time split across every single network and not really make the most out of it. So evaluate is part of how you be selective. You take a good hard look at all the demographics for each social network, and you don't have to build your own community. At the beginning, you go where your community is, and once you get to a certain level of engagement, they follow you over to your blog. That's why your blog is your hub. Everything you do on social media is ultimately to drive them back to your website. So the demographics that we're going to be going over are all from the most recent Pew social networking fact sheet, and we'll be tweeting the link to that. It's from September of 2014. Okay, that Pew networking fact sheet is from September 2014, and it is referencing that 75% of online adults are kind of our base demographics there. So 75% of those online adults translate into 58% of the general population being online. And of those 75% that are active, 52 of those are using 2 or more social networks. That's a 10% increase over the year before. So there is a very large and very active community out there looking for content on multiple platforms. So starting with Facebook, 71% of adults are using Facebook. They're actively logging in and checking every day. 45% of those users engage multiple times per day, and I'm sure we're all guilty of logging in when we have a few extra minutes, when we're at lunch, when we're waiting in line. So it becomes a leisure activity. For as many adults that are on Facebook, growth has really stagnated in the past 2 years, and the largest growing demographic is actually 65 plus. 56% of adults age 65 plus are using Facebook. With that more senior demographic comes a significantly lower average income of around $30,000 a year. Facebook also skews significantly female at 76% of users. So what does that tell us about Facebook? It's an older female demographic that's actively engaged. And from experience with Greenleaf authors, it's really great for children's books, self-help, and financial planning. So we have a question about if you're trying to reach a new social media audience. I would really take some time to evaluate and see if you need to reach a new social media audience. I'm assuming maybe your growth has stagnated on a certain platform, and that may not be because there's no more people in your demographic there. You just don't know the right way to reach them through research or hashtags or being really engaged in joining that conversation. So I would really recommend evaluating and deciding if it's in your best interest to join another opportunity, or just really tweak how you're engaging with your current networks. So Twitter, there's been a significant increase in active users in the last year, from 18 to 23%. It used to be a more gender-neutral social network, but it's beginning to skew more male. Pew found that 22% of men are using Twitter compared to only 15% of women. 36% of users engage daily, and while that sounds pretty strong, that's actually a 10% drop from the previous year. And I know, as an active Twitter user myself, there seems to be a drop in casual conversation on Twitter. People don't tweet back and forth as often as they used to. They may exchange one or two and then take that conversation offline or to email. So what does all this tell us about Twitter? It's primarily college-educated males under 50. Their income and careers are on the rise, and that makes that a great demographic for business and leadership experts. So we have a question: is Facebook good to reach mothers buying children's fiction, or reaching children themselves? So reaching children themselves is kind of a whole other conversation about the regulations about that. But yes, fiction for children's books, it's a great place because there's a lot of mothers, grandmothers on Facebook. There's also a lot of educators and librarians, just because of the privacy features. They're able to kind of really lock down and keep it to their friends and family, so they're more engaged on Facebook. We work with Travels with Gannon and Wyatt, which is a middle grade series who in the past about a year and a half has been able to grow their Facebook fan base to over 11,000, and it's really organically just by regular updates, and it's been a great platform for them. People are really engaged, they have a lot of comments, and they're really building a long-term fan base. So yeah, children's fiction is great on Facebook. Switching gears to LinkedIn, 28% of adults are using LinkedIn. It's more popular than Twitter, which is only 23%. And this past year is the first time that half of all college-educated internet users are using LinkedIn. And while the majority of users only visit the site weekly or less, and that's presumably for job searching, 13% of users are engaging daily. That daily engagement has increased recently due to LinkedIn's introduction as a publishing platform. Influencers can post long-form content, they can post status updates, and they can really engage with in more conversation than they used to be able to on LinkedIn. The publishing platform that allows influencers to post long-form content, that's currently in beta. So if you log into LinkedIn and you're eligible for that, you will see an alert on your homepage. So LinkedIn, primarily college graduates, higher income levels, mostly employed, great for business, management, leadership, and finance. And interestingly, from experience with Greenleaf authors, self-help and inspiration do extremely well on LinkedIn as far as engagement, connections, and the ads, if you're running any self-serve ads. And presumably that's because you've got some job seekers out there that are looking to change direction, get some information, really get a new outlook on life. So we found that's a really great niche for those topics as well. So Pinterest, primarily female. You've got 28% of all online adults are using Pinterest, and it's 42% female. 17% of those users are engaging daily, and they're engaging multiple times per day. Skews young, and the most active user base is 18 to 29 years old. But there's been a really notable increase, 11%, in users ages 50 plus. So that does some interesting things with the income demographics, giving Pinterest a bit of a split personality. So you've got young and urban with limited income, and then you've got your older suburban with income over $74,000 a year. All users tend to have at least some college education. So it's great for lifestyle, travel, self-help, and inspiration, where you can pin quotes and motivational content, and fiction can do well there as well. A question about LinkedIn and that alert on your homepage. That is for your eligibility to be a contributor to their publishing platform. That's in beta right now, and that allows you to post those long form articles that you may be getting alerts about. If you are eligible, when you log into your homepage, you'll see an alert. I don't know the timeline, but eventually that will be rolled out to everyone. So Instagram was purchased by Facebook in 2012 for $1 billion. 16% of adults use Instagram. That's 21% of the entire adult population. And that's a really staggering number when you consider that the site's only been around for 4 years. More than half of the users are young adults, age 18 to 29. 83% of those in the 18 to 29 bracket come from a wealthy household. Note that that does not mean that they themselves are necessarily wealthy. They just come from wealthy homes. Instagram skews urban, which is a nice niche potential based on other social networks, because there's a significant number of Hispanic and African American users. So users on this network are primarily young, urban, wealthy, either they themselves or their households, and they're really engaged. It's really perfect for lifestyle and travel brands and anything with a social message. So if you've got a product or your niche as an expert is tied to any sort of nonprofit organization or movement that you're trying to create, that really resonates with this demographic. Interestingly, Pew did not measure Google G+ and YouTube usage, and on the G+ front, I think that's because the estimates on usage is really kind of shrouded, and it varies greatly because Google integrated many of its products into G+. So that means users had to be logged into G+ to do things like rate businesses, upload videos to YouTube, and things like that. So it could be artificially inflating those numbers. Google is now phasing out a lot of features and the mandatory G+ integration to use those features, which is leading a lot of people to believe that they're either phasing out G+ as a whole, or they're really scaling back and they're going to reevaluate what that network is and what it's going to do. There is a great article on Inc. About exit strategies that talks about why kind of Google+ is dying, what they need to do to rectify that, and what your exit strategy needs to be. So in all, what that means is, unless you have a significant platform there already, I really think that your time is better spent elsewhere. On the YouTube front, according to Nielsen, nearly half of all people age 18 to 34 visited YouTube between December of 2013 and February of 2014. It's rated by millennials as the top place to watch content. It outranks all of the major cable network in viewership, and it's top in search results. You'll notice now that when you search for a topic, if there's any relevant YouTube videos, they'll come right up on the top of your Google results page. So what that means is that you need to get videos on YouTube. Those can be book trailers, interviews, questions and answers. It's really beneficial to your brand and your visibility to get videos up there. Our CEO, Tanya Hall, does some great presentations on the power of video, and I know that she's speaking at the IVPA Publishing University this April, if you want to hear her talk more about that. So the next part of this is connecting with individuals. Once you've gone through the process of evaluating and deciding which social networks are kind of most deserving of your effort, it's time to jump in and start connecting with people. So regardless of the social network that you're using, these 3 points really hold true. You want to build your profile, you want it complete, personalized, and optimized. If you're familiar with Guy Kawasaki, he has a new book out called The Art of Social Media, which has really great bullet points for optimizing each social network to really get you on his way. His co-author is Peg Fitzpatrick, and she has a great blog post about all of the graphic specifications for every social network. And all you have to do is Google quick tips for great social media graphics, and it's the very first result. A rule of thumb on the graphics is that people want to see your face. They don't want to see your book cover or your logo. They want to know that they're connecting with real people. So that's one tip I really try to drive home. And the next is not to call yourself a guru or an expert or a ninja or a maven, anything catchy like that. Prove it with your content. People don't need you to tell them what you are, they need you to show them. On the connecting, the next step is to align with influencers. Before you even share anything, kind of take the temperature. Follow and fan respected users in your space. Kind of take a deep dive into who they are following and follow some of those people. You get kind of down a rabbit trail with social media, especially on Twitter, with following people, and then you can start to build a following by those people following you back. You also want to observe what they're sharing and how they engage with their followers. You don't want to be a carbon copy of them when you really jump in, but it's a great way to familiarize yourself with the community, get comfortable with the type and tone of content you want to share, and determine what fits within that space and what you're qualified to bring that conversation. So how do you find key influencers? I'll talk about that more when I do a deep dive into best practices for each social network in a little bit, but I have some tips on how to identify people. What if you don't want your photo online? Is there a workaround for that? There is. You can definitely, there's some people out there who've got cartoons of themselves or who do use their logo or a certain picture. Make sure it's consistent across all social media channels. I do think it's still going to be a hindrance. People want to know who they're talking to, but if that's uncomfortable or you can't do that for some reason, make sure that your profile picture is consistent across all social media channels, is the same one that's showing up on your blog, so that people can identify and make that connection that it really is you. Once you're comfortable observing and connecting with influencers, you want to start sharing. This doesn't have to be full-fledged social media integration. This could be a tweet or two a day just to get you comfortable with the networks. You can share your blog content. You can share adjacent content, news, other people's content that is in your space, any tips and tricks, and then responses to people who are following you, which takes us in to the engagement part. So once you're familiar with everyone and you start to follow some people, you should really get pretty quickly comfortable with sharing and engaging. The golden rule, regardless of what network you're on, is you're not talking at people, you're creating a conversation. So with that in mind, you want to reciprocate. If someone makes the first move to connect with you, be responsive, follow them back, answer any questions that they've sent to you, or just say thanks for spreading your message if they're sharing your blog post. Some kind of acknowledgement that they're engaged with you and working to share on your behalf really goes far in social media. You also want to be proactive. Don't wait for the community to come to you, because that's a very rare thing. You want to monitor conversations in your area of expertise to establish new relationships, and you can do that by simply introducing yourself or answering a question. And again, I'll go through each network and what you can do to find influencers in just a minute. Offering value is a huge one. You want to answer questions, position yourself as a resource, because that instantly positions you as an expert. Anytime you send a tweet out, you should be thinking, or a Facebook status update or a photo on Instagram, you should be thinking, how does this add value? What am I offering my followers that they can't get anywhere else with this content? So we have a question about if someone retweets you, should you thank them for that? I usually do, and you don't have to do like a one-for-one. If you get a burst of retweets, thank everyone together. You don't want your especially on Twitter, you don't want your stream to be all thank you this person, thank you that person. You want to mix it up so it doesn't seem spammy. So you can combine and thank several people at a time. You could go and share something of theirs, which they know is a thank you as well, or just kind of keep that in mind that that's someone you should be following if they're retweeting you. So let's take a look at each of the social networks. First up is Facebook, and these are just some quick tips to get you started and things you should be talking about or thinking about when you're establishing and engaging on this network. You want to create a page. Profiles are for individuals, and there's limitations. So when you first sign up for Facebook and you're friending your family members and your college roommates, that's your personal page. You want to keep that separate. Not only does it allow people potentially access to your personal information, there is limitations to using a personal profile as a page for a larger audience, and mainly that's the number of friends. Facebook caps profiles at a number of friends and then forces you into a page, so just start with a page from the beginning. You want to claim your vanity URL. Once you have your page set up, it's a really quick process in the settings. Claiming your vanity URL means you will be facebook.com/Greenleaf book group. So it's something that's easy to remember, and it's really good for your SEO, so that when people Google you, that Facebook page is coming up top in the search results. Facebook is increasingly pay to play. They're constantly tweaking their algorithm, and pages and communities largely have to pay to make their updates visible to fans. But there are things you can do to increase that engagement and make sure that your fans are seeing your updates. You want to include a call to action, just like on a blog post, that invites people to like or comment or share that update, and you'd be really surprised just how many people engage when they're invited to. You want to space your updates. Oh, let me go back one more. You want to include a photo. Facebook's algorithm loves photos, and posts including photos get an average of 39% more engagement. Facebook promotes them more, they show them to more people, and they're more likely to catch people's attention to engage on it. So I like to include a photo with every update. Space your updates apart. Facebook is going to show users your most recent updates, so if you cluster them together, you're not giving each update its kind of breathing room and its fair shot to get some visibility. I recommend spacing updates at least 2 hours apart. That lets the update kind of marinate, it to have some time in people's stream to kind of take it in and comment on it, and also it's just not as annoying. Facebook isn't like Twitter where you can be rapid fire with it. It needs a little more room to breathe. The other thing you want to do is tag people. You can tag public Facebook pages and public users, kind of like you do on Twitter. So if you're talking about an organization that you're working with, just at their name, and Facebook will help you autofill. And that's a really great way to let other pages and people know that you're talking about them and that you're sharing their content, and it's a great way to get those users then engaged on your page. Twitter, a lot of the same rules apply to things. You want a public profile on Twitter. You want to make sure that it's not private, that it's accessible and discoverable to everyone. I've seen some users try to justify a private profile by saying that they're making content only available to those who follow, and that really doesn't work because people aren't willing to follow when they don't know what you're sharing. So you don't want to create any unnecessary barriers to following you. No Twitter eggs. This is where they want to see your face or your consistent branding across your social networks so that they can confirm that they're following who they think they're following. There's also the 80-20 rule of tweeting. Since Twitter can be very rapid fire, things can get spammy really quickly. So you want to make sure, as a general rule, 80% of what you're sharing is promoting others, and only 20% is self-promotional. So if you're throwing a blog post in there, make sure that the next 5 or 6 tweets are all about someone else. But all of it needs to be interesting and valuable to your followers. Just like we talked about on Facebook, You want to @name people. So if you are sharing someone's article, take a few minutes to find their Twitter handle and @ them in there. It tells them that you're sharing their content and that they should be connected with you. It also gives them the proper attribution, and it's good to help other people promote themselves and their content because they're more likely to reciprocate that for you in the future. Remember that if you're starting out your tweet with an @name, put a little period before that so that everyone can see the update. If you leave that period out, the only people that can see that tweet are you and the person you're tweeting at and people who follow both of you. By adding that little period before, everyone can see that update. Hashtags are how you're going to seek out those experts in your area. So using hashtags exposes your content to a wider audience, and it shows you're part of the conversation, but it also lets you search for relevant content and users in that space. So if there is a keyword that everyone in your area of expertise should be using or that you want to connect with, search for it on Twitter. It will show you the options that you get are for people, the most recent tweets using that, or for the people actually using that hashtag. So it's a really quick and easy way to connect with people. And if you sit down to update your social media and you really don't have anything new to promote, pull up those hashtags and see who's talking right now. It could be a great way for you to jump into conversation with an answer or a link to an article they should read, yours or others. So it's a really good resource for connecting and for curating content. No auto DMs, direct messages on Twitter. They're really viewed as impersonal and as spam. The same goes for any authorizing apps. Sometimes you follow someone and you get a direct message that says, please verify that you're a real person and then I'll follow you back. Those are really just a turn off for a lot of people. Schedule updates with caution. There are TweetDeck and Hootsuite and lots of applications out there. Oh, here we go. This is kind of what I'm talking about right now. So considering Buffer app for sending Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn updates at scheduled intervals, yes, I love Buffer for scheduling, but you have to use that with caution because the social networks don't give those updates as much of a priority treatment as if you update natively, especially Facebook on there. Facebook wants you to go to Facebook and schedule directly from your page, which you can do now. There's a little kind of clock icon that lets you schedule. If you schedule something with Buffer, it notices that it's a third-party app and it's not going to show your update to as many people. I'm not aware of the same thing happening on LinkedIn, so I'm sorry, on Twitter, so I personally use Buffer a lot for my Twitter updates, but I do suspect that the same thing is happening with a third-party API on LinkedIn as well. How do you manage multiple word hashtags? Business model innovation. So you're going to have to do some searching and see what experts in that area are using. They're certainly not using hashtag business model innovation because it's just too many characters, but they may be using just biz innovation or biz INN. There's some system out there, someone has already established a usage for a hashtag. So do some searching, see what's the most widely accepted. If you cannot find one, it is your opportunity to establish one. And the more you update with that hashtag, it gets credited to you and will lead more people back to you. That's a real niche opportunity. Keep in mind that you want to keep the hashtags short so that they're not taking up a lot of character space. They want to be easy to remember and easy to search. Let's see, we have another question. Is it considered normal for an unknown author to jump into Twitter conversations with experts who don't know him? Absolutely. As long as you have something valuable to add, you're a member of that community and you have just as much of a right to pipe up with your opinion and with any of your content as anyone else. You're establishing yourself as an expert and it's an opportunity to start a conversation. Another note on scheduling updates with caution, besides the API issue and how the networks display those updates, I'm really cautious just because if there's something that happens in world news or a disaster or a tornado hits or something and you cannot get to your computer to stop those auto updates, it can look really unprofessional, and you just don't want to be stuck in that conversation where something major is going on and your account is sending out auto tweets that have nothing to do with major news. Twitter parties go back to the hashtag usage. They're a great way to join fast-paced conversations with other users and community members in that area of expertise. You can start your own, but know that it's typically a slow build before people get on the bandwagon, and know that once a week, Tuesdays at 11 again, is the time that you'll be chatting with a certain hashtag. So it can be a slow build, and it can be just you and a few people for a while. But you can always ask guest hosts that are also experts in your area and have a following to join in, and then kind of migrate some of their users over to you into that conversation. What's a Twitter party? So a Twitter party is a set block of time on Twitter where community members and anyone interested in a certain area of content get together, and usually there is a host who has a set question that they're going to ask, usually 10 questions in an hour. They'll tweet that question out with the hashtag and then allow community members a few minutes to answer and kind of get some conversation going around that topic. They can be really fast and furious, or they could be 2 or 3 questions in an hour and community really having a more in-depth conversation about a certain topic. Twitter lists are a great way to keep on top of industry news and kind of monitor your influencers and conversations. When you're on Twitter, you can create kind of groupings of people. So on mine, I have one for other bloggers in my area. I have a list for publishing experts. I have a list of business publications, and it's really great way to kind of click through to that list, see all the conversations that are going on with the experts in that area, and then respond as appropriate. Otherwise, you're just looking at your homepage and your kind of master list of what people are updating. It can be hard to kind of dig those area and topic specific updates out of that mainstream. And a lot of people utilize private lists. You can have private and public lists. Private lists allow you to maybe look at some competitors, keep an eye on what's going on in certain industries, and not create a list that other people can see and join and follow. So there's an opportunity there to keep some lists just for you and for educational purposes. LinkedIn, from the beginning, you kind of need to decide if you're going to be using it for personal or a business use. Either way, you can claim a vanity URL, so you can claim linkedin.com/ your business name or / your name for a direct link for your profile. Just like Facebook, it's really great for your SEO, great for searchability, and really easy for people to remember and find you. Your LinkedIn profile can be a bit of a mini hub like your blog. So it's your mini professional hub. You can link out from LinkedIn to your social profiles and your blog and any other content that you're creating. It's a great way to establish thought leadership. I really recommend keeping the content strictly on topic. On Twitter, you can kind of jump in some informal conversations, share something just that really struck you at any given time that's a little further away from your niche. But on LinkedIn, people expect to see specifically your area of expertise. So stay on topic. You can also feed in your blog feed, so you can have your blog posts truncated and previewed on LinkedIn, driving people back to your website. And then again, that beta of the publishing platform, you'll get a notification at login if you're eligible to contribute. The great thing about LinkedIn is the ability to solicit recommendations. Whether you're using a personal or business account, you can ask others to recommend your services or weigh in on your area of expertise. And you can customize the ask. So when you send that email to your list of your followers asking them to please recommend you, leave a review, don't send those in bulk. Send them to one specific person and say, hey, we worked together on this project. I think it went really well. We achieved some great results. Would you mind writing a quick recommendation for my work on that project? People are usually really, really happy to reciprocate, and keep that in mind so that you can do the same for them down the line. You can also join groups on LinkedIn. There's relevant groups on pretty much any topic you can think of, and you can respond, open your own threads, and ask questions. But you want to remember in the groups to never, ever self-promote. Usually the rules on each group will say this is not for self-promotion, don't link to your business. It's really, again, to be part of the community and offer value through what you know. So Pinterest has become a bit of an obsession of mine recently. So the tips that I'm going to give you are things that I've been doing in the last 6 months or so that have allowed me to grow my Pinterest following by about 500 users a month. The first thing you want to do is optimize your boards, optimize your pins, and optimize your blog posts. So your boards are kind of your pin boards on Pinterest, how you group your content. You want to make sure that each board has a complete title and subtitle and is attributed to the appropriate categories that people can search and find relevant information. You want to optimize your pins by whenever you're pinning or repinning, making sure that the caption is complete and includes the appropriate keywords, and you want to assign them to the most appropriate board. And then you want to optimize your blog posts by having a really high quality vertical image in each blog post. When you pin a blog post or a website, you get a choice of what photos on that page to use. So by picking and including a vertical image, that gets the most space on LinkedIn. It's the biggest photo on the page, and they draw more attention and more repins. You also want to organize your boards. I have about 50 boards, and I prefer alphabetical order. And I've noticed since putting them in alphabetical order, when users who like to pick and choose which boards they're following and not just all of your boards, they really take the time to kind of browse through them, and they follow more of your boards. So that's been a big lead for me. Consistency, again, we talked about this in blogging. You want to pin and burst 2 to 3 times a day for 15 minutes. That allows you to hit users in different demographics and different time zones and not overwhelm a specific group of people at any given time with 100 pins all at once. Again, you can use a scheduler, but make sure that it's one that works with Pinterest API, meaning that as you schedule pins, they get just as much exposure as an organically pinned image. Balance, you want to strive for a balance between pinning and repinning. So sharing original content and being a curator of original content and supporting members of the community rather than just going in there and taking the little bit of an easy route and just repinning things that everybody else has curated. That also allows you the opportunity every time you post a blog post to pin that and get it started on Pinterest and get the ball rolling. Pinterest also has group boards. It can be a little tricky to join a group board because there's no easy way to ask. So if you find a group board that has several hundred or more members, that's typically a good sign that those pins are getting a lot of exposure. So just look who the creator of that board is and send them a message asking them to add you to that board. If you can't find any, start your own. Make it really easy for people to contact you. So in the group boards that I've started, in the description, I say contact me and my email address if you'd like to be added to this board. And I get some pretty frequent requests by really engaged users who are sharing great content. Also, engagement on Pinterest is just as important as sharing the content. You can tag users just like Facebook and Twitter, and commenting on posts or on pins, even if you're not repinning them, really shows the users who see that pin that you're engaged, and they may follow over to see what kind of content you're contributing. If you're a blogger, make the switch to a pro account. It lets you access analytics and gives you a verified profile with your URL. So you'll be able to see when someone pins something from your website, how much traffic that is driving, and what your most popular pins are. So you can see, hey, this pin from 6 months ago is really being pinned again and again. What did I do in that post that is so special? Is the photo really great? Is it a to-do list? Is it something that has kind of the potential to go viral? So it can really educate what you do going forward. And then the last one is quality and quantity matters. So I found that with every 2 pins that I pin, I gain a new follower. But it also has to be really good pins. And the more followers and pins that I have, the more quickly I gain new followers. So it's a bit of a snowball effect with Pinterest. And finally, we've got Instagram. And I know a lot of authors think they can't utilize Instagram, but there's more potential than you might imagine. It's a really great opportunity for you to tell your story, the story of your brand, your writing process, your inspiration. A lot of authors and experts are traveling a lot. They're speaking to groups. It's a great opportunity to kind of show your everyday life. You can also link to other social networks on Instagram. Whenever you post something, you can send it out to your Facebook and your Twitter feeds as well, so you can share across multiple channels. Just like Twitter and Facebook, you want to engage with other influencers and community members by adding them in your update. So if you're with someone, make sure to tag them. If you're talking about a location, you're at a hotel, you're at a restaurant, and they have an active Instagram account, make sure to add them in that. And it can also be a great way to give a hat tip to others if they provided some kind of content that you're then sharing through Instagram. Hashtags are just as important here as they are on Twitter as well. It's a great way for community engagement. My favorite way to use hashtags and location tags, which is next here, on Instagram is when I am at a location or I use a hashtag, I like to see the most recent updates from others under those tags and hashtags and engage with those people. So if I'm at a restaurant and I Instagram my dinner, which is so common, I like to see who else was recently at that restaurant and like their pictures as well, because then hopefully they'll see what I'm sharing and it could be a good connection to make. Again, engagement, that's how I engage, is looking at those location tags and those hashtags, and really getting in there. Don't be afraid, like, I don't know this person, I've never interacted with them before. Don't be afraid to be the first person to make that interaction as well. So we have covered a lot of information. We've evaluated the social media networks, hopefully identified what you should focus your energy on, and covered some best practices. So I have a few of the most frequently asked questions that I have been asked, which I can go through. But if you have any other questions now, feel free to put them in the chat or send them through on Twitter. So we have a question that says, I have a Facebook page for my book. Should I share that page with my Facebook friends? Yeah, absolutely. You have the option to kind of self-promote and migrate all of your friends over to your page. Go ahead and do that. You'll get a lot of people that migrate over. Know that you can only do that once, though. So it may let you select everyone to send that message to, but if they've received that message in the past, they're not going to receive it again. So you kind of get one chance. It's nice for the end user because they're not getting spammed by their friends promoting their pages. But it is a good way to migrate people over, and we do see a lot of support from your existing friends and coworkers and families. Any suggestions for reaching new followers when I'm in a numbers plateau? Yeah, there's a few suggestions there. So one is taking a deep dive into those hashtags or any searches. If you let me know what social network specifically, I can talk a little more on that. So taking a deep dive into hashtags and looking at other users. You could be at a plateau because of your ratio to who, specifically on Twitter, who you're following and who's following you. You want to make sure that you're not at 1,000 people following you and you're only following 2 people. That can slow people down from following you and show that you're not engaged. So you should be out there definitely following people. If you're talking about Facebook, with it largely being pay to play, you have to run a fan campaign. You can run those for as little as a few dollars a day and keep a constant stream of fans coming in. So I just got your note that it is Twitter specifically that you're plateauing, and I will tell you that I've experienced the same thing. I hit 5,000 followers about 6 months ago and have not grown since then, even though I'm engaged. I do admit I need to do some deep diving into different hashtags and be more involved. Look for Twitter parties. Look for topics that other experts are tweeting about. Maybe your shares are so niche that you need to start branching out and sharing some adjacent content as well. So this is a little bit of a long one. I'm going to need a consultant to help me set up some of my social profiles. Can I get advice from GBG on a good consultant? Yeah, if you want to contact me directly, my email will be at the end of this presentation. Yeah, then we can talk through what you need to look for and maybe suggest some people for you to do that. We can certainly do that. Any other questions coming through? So on LinkedIn, if you see an update from one of your connections, do all of your connections see it, or is only the poster's connection? So if I post an update on LinkedIn, only the people I am connected with see it, not the people who are connected with the people I'm connected with. So it's only your direct followers. The exception is if any of those followers decide to share or comment, then their activity is shown to their followers. So it's a bit of a domino effect. So if you share something and people are really active with liking it and commenting on it, then you can definitely grow the reach of that update through those updates. If you don't have time, resources to monitor comments, are you better off without a comment capability? I would say evaluate your time and find a way to make comments a priority. When you turn off contents, you shut down the community. You tell them that you do not want to discuss it. The solution to that is, again, making the time and making it a priority. I would rather see someone respond to the comments on their blog than take on a new social media network. What I have seen some people do is integrate for their commenting system Facebook. So people need to be logged in on Facebook to comment, so you can kind of corral, if Facebook is your network of choice, corral all those comments and kind of put that in your Facebook time. Or I've seen the call to action on blog posts being not to comment, but to comment on Twitter, or to @you on Twitter. So you could drive people to different places, but I really recommend keeping those comments open and making the time to address them, because that's your hub. If there's one place you want the commenting going on, it's on your site. You don't want to discourage people from coming to your site by not responding and acknowledging any comments. I'm starting to think retweeting is pointless. Am I wrong? Yeah, I think you are wrong. Just because retweeting, it sends your blog post or your content out to the person who's retweeting you's following. You do need to kind of reciprocate that. Let them know, thank you for retweeting this, retweeting something of theirs. It's all circular. It's all scratch your back and I'll scratch mine. So I get a lot of traffic to my blog posts by people who retweet when a new post goes live. So as soon as a blog post goes live on my blog, I kind of have a checklist of things that I do, and that is sharing it on all the social media channels, pinning it, using StumbleUpon, which is a great resource to kind of target your updates to people who are interested in certain genres of content. And part of that is tweeting that I have a new blog post live, and a lot of my followers who are interested in it or think it's a good read will retweet it. And I can see from my analytics, and I'm just using Google Analytics, that that tweet is driving traffic to my blog. Ooh, lots of questions. I've plateaued on Twitter, 3,100 followers and following about 3,400, but it won't let me follow more. Yeah, so it's a little bit out of balance. You want more followers than following. So what I would recommend is logging into a site, I think it's Friend or Follow or Unfollow Me, and it will scan your face or your Twitter followers and who you're following and tell you who has an inactive account. Go through and unfollow everyone with the inactive accounts. I mean, cherry pick those. You may know that this person is inactive, but it's because of this reason, and they're someone I want to be connected with. But by following those inactive accounts, you can kind of free up some space and hopefully alleviate that plateau. If you don't use hashtags, only your followers will see your tweets, right? No. So anyone can see a tweet if it's in the general stream and they're just going to twitter.com. You want to add a hashtag because it targets who sees your tweets, and people can search for your tweets then. If you don't have a hashtag on your tweet, no one can search it. Now, I'm not recommending that every single tweet you send out has a hashtag because that gets a little tiresome, both for you trying to pick the right one and for your readers and your followers seeing all these hashtags, but use them strategically for content that is really focused on one keyword. Use that keyword as your hashtag. Should thanks for retweets be with a period so all can see? Only when the tweet starts with @ So if you're starting your tweet with @Greenleaf Book Group, and then you're writing your question or your thanks, only you, Greenleaf Book Group, and people who follow both of you will see it. If you include that period or any text before the name, then everybody can see it. So my solution to that a lot of times is just do your @ mention at the end of the tweet. Then you don't have to worry about including that period and did you or didn't you and who's seeing the tweet. Just put the @ at the end. How many hours a week do you spend on your blog? Oh, it's a little bit of a passion project, and again, it's a lifestyle blog. It's not related to what I do professionally, but I typically spend an hour every morning producing, writing content, and promoting existing content, engaging with others in my niche, and I spend a large part of my weekend doing original photography, and I work with companies to do some sponsored content on my blog as well, which if anyone is in that position where they need to be monetizing their blog on that level, working with companies for sponsored content, I'm always happy to talk more about that offline as well. That's kind of a whole nother beast. Okay, so I know we're over time, but I do have some questions that are kind of frequently asked, and it looks like a few of you are sticking around, so I will go ahead and go through these. Oh, how many hours a week do I spend on Twitter? I'm on Twitter all day, every day, so it's really hard to put that into numbers. I just check in throughout the day and see if anybody has tweeted me and I need to respond to them. I typically make it a point to respond to anyone within 24 hours. I don't kill myself to be active on Twitter 24/7, but I do check in a lot, probably more than I should. So some of the most asked questions I get are, what are some techniques for encouraging blog comments? Again, your call to action. Always ask a question at the end of the blog post. It can be simply, what do you think? I write a blog post once a week about what I'm reading, and I just ask people, what are you reading? Have you read anything good this week? And people really take that as an invitation and spend the time to comment. You also want to make commenting really easy. Again, name, email, URL, tops. I'm not a big fan of the CAPTCHAs, the code you have to enter to verify that you're human. I just don't think that's a step most people need to be using for spam control. And then cross-promoting and inviting people to move that conversation to your blog. So if you tweet your blog post, say in your tweet if you have room, comment on my blog, comment on Facebook, like direct people to where you want the conversation to happen. I get asked a lot about guest blogging and if it's a good strategy. It can be if it's mutually beneficial. Make sure that you're properly aligned with the guest blogger or the people who are writing content for you are really on topic. If you're pitching people either way, you want to make sure that you take some time to customize that pitch. You wouldn't go to a job board and just kind of blindly send your resume to everyone. So if you're approaching someone to post your content on their blog and be exposed to their audience, make sure that you provide examples of what kind of content that you have for them. Let them know why you would be a good fit for their blog. And what you can provide for them in terms of audience. Like how many site visitors do you have that you could send to them? What is your average number of comments on each post when you engage people? And let them know how big your social media following is that you'll be sending that blog post out to. Another question is, can I use a blog post on multiple sites? I would discourage against this. So you don't want to post something to your blog and then have the article or the blog post reproduced in full someplace else, mainly because Google penalizes sites, both sites, for duplicate content. And it makes it kind of look like you're running out of stuff to talk about. You can always repurpose content. You can update content. It just can't be strictly duplicate content on two sites. We have a question about how to find Twitter parties and would there be a certain demographic that uses. So Twitter parties, find an expert in your area, and you come across the Twitter parties just by being engaged and monitoring who the experts in the area are. You can click through to those hashtags and see what kind of conversations are going on. The demographics are really all over the place because those Twitter parties are really specific to whatever the content of that hashtag is. So I've run them for kids' books that were talking about travel. I've run them for CPAs who are talking specifically about tax season. Make sure they're really, really specific. And if you're running one, make sure you have questions pre-written and answers pre-written to really direct to that party. I think I have a few more questions here. So is it okay to share content across all social media sites? Like I said, when I have a blog post go live, I do share it everywhere that I'm active, but I make sure that my messaging is customized for each network. So on Facebook, I have the opportunity to say a lot more with my updates, so I make sure I do. What I say on Pinterest is going to be different than what I say on Twitter. You do this for a few reasons. One, you don't want somebody who follows you on multiple channels to see the exact same messaging at the exact same time. And two, just because it doesn't work. Hashtags don't work on LinkedIn. Hashtags don't really work on Facebook like they thought they were going to. So you can't really copy and paste and share it everywhere. This is a question that's kind of hotly debated. Personal versus professional for your kind of tone online. Which style is better? I think whichever style is your natural tone is the best one. You want to be communicating and engaging in a way that's natural and is second nature to you so that you're not making a task out of your social presence. You don't want to sit down. If you're a casual person, you don't want to labor over a blog post or labor over a tweet to make sure it's on tone. You just want it to be your tone. So consistency again is a big key no matter what you're doing on social media. So those are all the questions that I brought with. If there's any others, you can continue to use the hashtag. I will jump on Greenleaf's Twitter account this afternoon to see if there's any additional questions. You can contact me. My email is cfoster@greenleafbookgroup.com. And remember, if you're on Twitter, use that hashtag IdeasThrive, and we will be picking a winner from today's webinar to talk some more about blogging and social media with one of our consultants. So thank you for joining us, and if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.